And it is not just a reflection of policy shifts, but a reminder of how a virus managed to digitalize a nation. And in a few months. This could not be done with decades of committees and meetings. So what the government couldn't do, our pandemic did. And today's topic is just that. A little overview of the topic. Before the pandemic, the phase online class meant watching a random YouTube tutorial, right? 5 minutes before an exam. But in 2020, it became our new national curriculum, we could say. So we all went online, not only education, but every aspect of our lives. And India saw a new change in the education system. So now I would like for you all to keep your cameras on and put in your names in the chat box in the order that you all want to speak. Okay, giving a few minutes for that. Okay, so let's begin with our first speaker, who is Gauri. And I would like for you all, I request you all to start putting in your names in the chat box as we start with the speakers as well. So, Gauri, please go on.
Hello everyone. Today I'm going to put forward my perspective on exactly how resilient COVID-19 truly made our education system. So, to state the obvious, of course, COVID-19 nudged our education system to move towards e-learning, where we are integrating digitalization and the digital gadgets in our education system. And not just like initially, even in our primary schools, I think most of us have used smartphones or ICT based learning. But COVID-19 pushed our education system to move beyond that. I'm talking about LMS and ERP system. In case uh, I need to define LMS, it's learning management system. So a very popular example of this is Google Classrooms, which helps educators to create, manage, and deliver online courses and also assess students and mark them, like mark their on their marks and assessment. And ERP system is enterprise resource planning, which is a software that helps businesses functions and processes such as accounting, human resources, inventory, and sales. And COVID-19 also made students realize that they might not want to cater to traditional learning and they want to choose more liberal learning systems such as online courses and open distance learning. And also a major edtech boom was noticed during COVID pandemic where big edtech companies received huge investments. uh, a prime example is Byju's. But the issue with EdTech is that it is very profit driven and they are not focused on making education equitable to all the stakeholders, that is students. So my concern is what government is exactly doing to make sure that edtechs do not become exploitative. As again, coming back to Byju's, that Byju's became exploitative and the downfall of Byju's was only because of angry consumer base, that is parents who were not getting their money back after they were not satisfied with their product. So that is a major concern of mine when it comes to e-learning, that is edtech companies and how unregulated and unchecked they go. And coming to innovations, there were government interventions such as PME Vidya, and it is a comprehension of various initiatives like Diksha Portal, Swam Portal, radio, community radio, televised lessons. But again, there is a problem of digital divide, right? So when government puts forward these initiatives, it assumes that all the students have access to something as basic as radio, something as basic as a smartphone. It's a pre-assumption which it does not hold true. So another policy recommendation of mine is that governments should digitize classrooms. Pandemic was a very special scenario where you could not go to classroom whatsoever, but since pandemic situation is not upholding at the current moment, government should digitalize classrooms because it will reduce the burden on stakeholders such as parents and students to acquire digital gadgets and internet bills that comes along with acquiring e-learning. And my final verdict is that e-learning cannot entirely replace classroom education, as the most of us reiterated in our previous policy, Manthan, that it cannot completely replace e-learning. It is a good intervention in traditional classroom settings. And anyways, if anyone wants to go for purely e-learning, India is anyways not equipped to facilitate this type of learning. So that was my take on this. Thank you.
That's excellent, Corey. Okay, so what I would say is that firstly, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Am I audible? Okay. So, thanks a lot for your inputs, Corey, and I really liked how you gave examples of Byju's, and we could all relate to that. So, thank you for the relatable examples as well. And now we'll go forward with Rani. Sorry, not Rani. Wait, one second. Anchal. So, we'll go forward with hearing Anchal's opinions. The
Am
stage
I
is yours,
audible?
Anchal. Yes, you are audible.
Okay. So COVID-19 pandemic turned our lives upside down, especially the disruption could be seen in the education sector, where schools were closed, millions of schools were closed, and the classroom teaching was also closed by millions of the students. That affected a lot of students. But at the same time, there were a lot of platforms like Zoom classroom learning, which took the control and actually helped to learn deliver the lessons through online platform. Various edtech platforms also played a major role, like what Gauri said, Byju's and uh, Vedanta and an academy also play a major role in delivering the lessons through online mode, which students were finding difficult to access because the classrooms were locked. And at the same time, government initiatives also played a very important role, like Diksha, Swam, and e-Pathshala ensures that learning didn't stop. But not with all such things, there were a lot of challenges as well. Like not every student had the access of laptops and smartphones. So that's where government also stepped in and ensure that each and every student get access to e-learning, where these delivered programs like PME Vidya through television, radios, and etc. A small example I have read is that in a small village in Maharashtra, there were teachers who used radios, who used like yeah, radios and loudspeakers to deliver the lectures to a large group of students who were not having smartphones or laptops. That showed that they were resilient to deliver the lessons. At the same time, there were challenges for teachers as well, because they have to learn the digital tools and have to equip themselves with the digital literacy platforms. As well as NEP 2020 also showed that uh, online platforms mixed with offline study could be a very good source for students to learn, because hybrid learning would be the best way because it's flexible as well for students to learn through courses sitting anywhere in the world. But at the same time, it cannot replace classroom learning because the environment that classroom learning provides doesn't allow online learning platforms to provide. With that, I would say at that particular point of time where COVID-19 pandemic hit, that was a necessary step for online platforms to take in the control. But right now, hybrid mode of learning would be the best solution. Yes.
Thank you so much, Anshul. You've brought in different perspectives and what you've said about, and also what Gauri had said and mentioned about online learning cannot replace actual classroom and traditional learning. That is one thing that has been reiterated in your speech as well. So I think that is a very clear point until now. And but we could also like have a different perspective, maybe from the other speakers going forward. Let's go ahead with Rani.
I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, so as per the Times of India report, it's stated that the Indian schools shut down nationwide, which was impacting to around 360 million students. So during that time, when the COVID-19 pandemic struck, we move on to the handling or accessing the digital online platforms. And mainly teachers used Zoom as well as Google Forms, Google Meets for teaching. And I think other thing was that, like Anchal said, hybrid model. Teachers also adopted the hybrid model during that time. And when if I'm sharing my experience, when the COVID-19 pandemic struck, I was in 11th class. So at that time, our teachers used to, for the initial 5 months, there were online classes. And after that, the physical classes resumed. Even where the physical classes resumed, the digital tools also continue to complement them. And other thing is that the teachers used to tell us that they were given training for handling the digital tools and how to make Google Forms and how to conduct exams digitally. So they used to get training on handling these digital tools during the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. So they used to tell us that. And other thing is that so I'm from Kerala, and coming to there was an educational channel like Kite Victor's education channel, which was specially prepared for the Kerala state syllabus from classes 1 to 12. I still remember those times when I used to watch those classes, especially of economics and English classes in that channel. And there were like specific times were allocated for students, like for class one, class second, and class third. So these channel was specially for Kerala state syllabus board. Mm. So we know that there may be some students who in rural areas, there are majority of students who is having poor internet connections, and they may be not having a mobile phone. So I think this educational channel was a major source of learning, which was also help these students from the rural areas to access those mm, educational sources. Thank you.
Excellent, Rani. What you've said about, the aspects, some of the aspects of online learning continuing even after the pandemic. So post-pandemic, we still have those things, such as now, even for my siblings who are still in school, they still receive their homework and the pictures of their homework on WhatsApp, the same as it happened uh, during pandemic. So I think that is one thing that India, once that it was digitalized education, we could not take it out of that online mode fully. And that is, one could argue, a very good thing, and one could argue that it's a bad thing because of the accessibility and inclusiveness as well. So let's see the other perspectives from other speakers. Let's go ahead with Kadambari.
Audible?
Are you here, Kadambari? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, you're not audible.
Audible now?
Yeah, now you're audible.
Yes. Yeah, so good evening, everyone. Uh, I think today's topic sounds a bit similar to our last policy Manthan, where we discussed on digital learning. But this time, I want to look at it at differently, not just how we went digital, but how our education system actually adapted under pressure and what they says about us. So, our education system serving nearly 320 million students suddenly has to transform overnight. So March 2020, when COVID happened, gave us that moment, and it showed us both how innovative we can be and how unequal things still are. As we experienced that schools were shut down, the entire country was scrambled to keep learning alive. So platforms like Diksha, which was earlier there, but they exploded during that period. So from 10 million to hundreds of millions of users were increased. Doordarshan, which is our DD National, became a classroom again, and PM Vidya, it's a platform that brought together TV, radio, and online learning. So teachers who had never used digital tools suddenly became online educators. I remember our teacher who struggled using even a small mobile phone. He was shifted to digital Zoom meetings and everything for his teachings. So yes, as we have experienced that one third of our rural households even had a smartphone, but students lost big chunks of their learning. That 55% were in readings, 70% in maths, and around 10 million girls faced a dropout risk. So it we can see that it affected girls majorly, and it wasn't just about the devices, it was about the basic facilities like electricity, the space to study, and having someone at home so that they can help them with their online meetings and everything. So, yes, while some kids thrived in online classrooms, others were left completely behind. But as we see that pandemic also forced change that might have taken a decade otherwise, like policies like NEP 2020, which we are in, suddenly felt urgent, like blending learning, mixing online and offline things, and that became normal. And we also see that assessment started focusing more on skills rather than rote memory, and teachers in digital pedagogy. And for the first time, mental health, which is very heavily discussed topic right now, became a part of our education policy. So yes, we did adapt, but not evenly, as we can see that there are still some problems faced by marginalized community, especially in rural areas. Like if we want to build on these lessons, we need to figure out. We need to focus on few things like basic digital infrastructure like internet, electricity, and affordable devices. You can't talk about digital education without those, I think. And second, we can do is we can help students recover what they have lost through proper remedial programs and extra learning times. We can give them that. And third, I think which is most important, that keep teachers training continuously, and not just one time workshops, but in sections. And the last one, that the bring back out back dropouts, especially the girls. with community supported and flexible school options. Yes, that was it. One example I would like to give that I still remember helping my younger cousin during the lockdown. She lived in small town and had affordable smartphone, but the internet kept dropping every few minutes. So half her lessons were gone. Uh, and also, I think this is happening with millions at that time, and that's the scale of the problem. And I think the real test isn't whether we survive the pandemic, it's whether we'll use those lessons to build something better, and more fairer, so that the next crisis doesn't leave millions of students behind. Yeah, so that was from my side. Thank you.
Very well said, Kadambari, what you mentioned and how adopted a different approach in like looking at the topic. That is very commendable. If anyone has any questions, or if you all want to put any inputs, you can do that. If not, we'll go forward with Vemana.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah, sure, Vemana. The mic is all yours.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Vemna. I think I would like to start with this line that the pandemic has proved that mark sheets can pause, but learning can't. So I think from government initiatives like PME Vidya, Diksha, and WhatsApp homework groups in rural villages to teachers conducting classes under trees via loudspeakers, India witnessed not just digital learning but human resilience. Even though majority of the chunk, I think at least half of the chunk had access to mobile phones. However, while urban private schools moved to Zoom, only 24% of Indian households, according to a data, had internet access. And among rural girls, the number was even lower. So while we talk about adaptability, we must ask adaptability for whom, if not for everyone. So can education really be called accessible when only 1 in 4 children could go online? I think in today's world, digital literacy is no longer a privilege, it's a necessity. From classrooms to career, technology has grown everywhere and it's the backbone of learning and growth. The COVID 19 pandemic further accelerated this shift. Even though it has happened for millions of children living in India's slum communities, this shift has widened the gap. I think while peers have logged into virtual classrooms, these children were left behind, locked out of education simply because they didn't have a laptop or internet access. So I think from our uh, experience, our key policy lessons would be technology is not a solution unless it's equitable. Tablets and apps alone won't bridge the gap. Access is needed, training is needed, local language content are critical. I think Rani has spoken about local language content. And then because of this COVID, I think parents have become co-educators. Parents had to keep checking their mobile phones, and then they had the necessity to be technically aware. Yeah, I think teachers also have become frontline innovators with technology, even though they didn't know they had to do it. Uh, I think I would like to add my own experience. I have studied in a residential school from, I think, first standard, I guess. So I have never been at home. COVID has given me one good experience of staying at home for 2 years. But then I had to use mobile because of staying in a residential school. I didn't even have a laptop, I guess. Then I had to buy one, learn everything. I was so dumb I could not do it. I think somehow it added up. Then I started using tech a little more. I think it has been a good experience for a few and then bad for people who could not access it. So I think because of COVID, we adopted technology under crisis and now we must reform it by choice. I think in closing, I would say the pandemic forced India to reimagine how learning happens. Now, policy must ensure that this adaptability becomes habit or not a reaction. Education should no longer be confined to classroom. I think that is all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vemana. And yeah, what you said at last about being detached with technology, detached from technology due to that gap. And that gap is something that we need to address in a very vocal manner, because even I agree and I relate to what you've said about the technology gap. If I remember correctly, I was in seventh grade when lockdown hit, and we are still, I mean, whatever class I upgraded to from 7th to 8th and 8th to ninth and 9th to 10th, every year they would just call us the lockdown batch. And that title has not yet gone away from us. And that is actually true in some manner, because what we especially younger students who are younger at the time of lockdown, they not only have a gap in their education, but they also have a very wide gap in communication skills, in socializing skills, and overall development that is quite crucial, and that can only come when you go to school at that age. But that is a gap that we leave unaddressed quite a lot of times. The same one of that those aspects is technology. As you said, I could not use a laptop or a system for a very long time. That was even when I was in inter college. Only in the later phase I got a little more comfortable with technology and systems. So that is a very true thing. I would like to invite other people who put in your to put in your thoughts about this topic or some other topic that you think went unaddressed. Yes, Gauri, go ahead.
I think the inability to use laptops, as mentioned by some of you, the one computer lab period in a 1 week's timetable is to blame for that. And yeah, as someone mentioned, I think Zoha in her starting speech mentioning this, that only in adversity did the government get the nudge, a push really to adopt e-learning and digitalize education. I don't know what is this bad habit of ours to just wait for an adversity to knock on our doors to finally adopt a change. I mean, in our modern times, why were we not as like very tech savvy before? So there's another thing that I would like to mention. I can't remember at the moment, but I will come back to that. Yeah, that's all I would like to say for now.
So true. That's very true. Now, Bhavya,
Um, as you all have already said that, I think it was Vemina who said that everything stopped when COVID hit us, but it was only the learning which did not. And I also agree with Zoha when she said that we ourselves were not very equipped with the technology, let alone our parents and teachers. So when the COVID hit, actually the students in elementary school or primary school, they could not actually go ahead with the education because they cannot be taught everything that is to be taught in at that age online, right? And their parents also did not have the knowledge of technology and how to operate all the laptops and smartphones. So sure, our government did everything they could with, as you all have mentioned, with PME Vidya initiative, in which Diksha platform was there, and radios, and DTH services, which is our TV channels. As we are talking about evolution of education during the COVID times, I would just like to add that when the eVidya initiative was started, there was only 12 channels which were there, to educate the Indian audience. But as we have grown, there are now 200 channels for the same, and they are imparting knowledge in 33 languages for different states in our country. And also there are now channels for visually impaired hearing impaired students who are not able to listen, so that there are sign languages channel for the imparting of the knowledge. And this is all okay, but as you all have said that adaptability was there, but it was not there for everybody equally. So there were so many digital gaps, and teachers was also not prepared for the virtual change that came so suddenly. And there was a lack of internet access also, which excluded most of the marginalized children, which you all have said. To which I really want to repeat what Vemina said, that we had adopted it in crisis, but now we are evolving it by choice, which would not have happened if COVID had not hit at that point, which I think is already said by Gauri just now. So these are all the points that I just like to add.
Thank you so much, Bhavya, for your insightful comments. Uh, yeah, so if there is anyone else who would like to put in, okay, Gauri, go ahead.
I just remembered a point that I wanted to mention. I think we need to stop using the term resilience as a badge of honor, because resilience is more like I see resilience more like exploitation. That And I see resilience as a marker of government failure. That you are push if you have to push people to be resilient, if you have to push people to understand what is being televised on the TV, or acquire radios, or somehow acquire digital gadgets for their children to acquire education. That is a huge shame on government's end, that you could not prepare people in advance before the adversity struck. And I see all these interventions more like a badly planned disaster management. So I would like to give an analogy. So Indian cities are known for not having properly planned disaster managements in place. The minute, for example, cities like Mumbai, the minute floods hit these cities, the whole city is submerged, and there is CRPF and paramilitary forces helping people, but that should not be the case, right? So, in this analogy, proper drainage systems, and if you had mangrove forests in place, that could be these flooding, like you just snip the problem from the bud, right? So, when it comes to any adversity, we should not wait for it, and we should definitely not wait for people to show their resilience time and time again, because exhaustion hits after a while. And when these situations occur, there will be a time parents, especially from underprivileged communities, will start seeing education as a burden rather than an opportunity. Before that happens, let's make education more easy to access, and not a whole different struggle altogether.
Absolutely
That's all I
agree to that. Yes, I absolutely agree to that, Gauri. And what you said about the forces being deployed, actually, that actually happened right in the COVID period, because I remember police being deployed on various streets. I also do remember some paramilitary forces also, I guess, but I don't remember that correctly. So that is so true, because people should have that awareness on their own, that going out there would not only, risk their own health, but the health of others as well. And the second point that you raised regarding this, see, whatever disaster happens, we just then take action as a damage control. But I think one policy takeaway that we can take from today's session, because we cannot do anything about what happened in the past, so I don't think any policy frameworks would work here. So one takeaway is that the next time any such thing actually happens, we will not treat it as damage control, but a prerequisited mindset that, okay, God forbid anything like that happens, but if it does, then we should have a totally different and contrary approach like we had earlier. So I think that is absolutely true. Now, Kadambari, go ahead.
Audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Yes. So I want to say that especially the kids, like in third, fourth, or smaller than that, they had to do remote learning during COVID-19, as we all know that, and I think they missed out on a lot of practice, especially with the social skills, since they weren't seeing other kids and teachers in person every day. They were just seeing the screens in front of them, and that too people with masks. So I think they didn't get as many chances to learn how to interact with others, or I think they lack of practice made it harder for some kids to pick up on social cues like facial expressions or body language. Since they could only saw people on their screens and they were masked, so I think that was the problem. And also how to work out on disagreements and other normal conflicts with their friends, or to build friendships. And they just feel totally disconnected with their peers. All they were seeing was their screens all the day. And I have experienced this, and I have seen so many kids doing this at their homes. So I think yeah, that was it.
Absolutely true, Kadambari. That is a very correct point. The main purpose of our policy manthans are to, articulate policy frameworks or suggestions. And whenever we look at a policy issue, we should not just look at it from a technical point of view. We need to look at it from a very social and human point of view as well. So when we talk about kids being deprived of technology, we must also at the same time talk about the social cues and the social aspect of it as well. And that is actually very true, what you've said. Yes, Bhavya.
Um, I just want to add one little thing to it, that as you and Kadambri just now talked about how kids really suffer during that time in their, growth part, where they had to, have social interactions and, more mind stimulating activities which are only possible in school. So, when COVID hit, it actually um forced us to think and bring a change in our pedagogy, which is pedagogy is actually the teaching techniques and tools that teachers use. So we had to rethink that, and there was a nishtha platform also which was launched during the PME Vidya initiative only, which actually was launched to teach teachers how to make their lessons more interactive and more mind stimulating, so that students are able to learn not only just the education part but also that social part that you just talked about.
Absolutely. So I think that would be about it. We do not have any other speakers, and I don't think we have any other opinions or inputs as well. So today's policy manthan, though not as energetic as the previous ones, I think that would be due to the absence of our beloved moderator, and also because of the low attendance. But I think we all have taken away quite a few good things from this, and a digital round of applause for that.
We
Yeah.
actually loved your energy, Zoha. So I just want to say that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You had so
So,
many new insights to add, which was also a added point.
thank you so much, Bhavya. And I think that would be about it. Meet you all again in the next policy manthan with new perspectives and new opinions. So, thank you.